Hello and welcome to a very special review of the Talons of the Emperor, Valerian and Aleya. They're part of this weekend's Black Library Celebration 2020. Typically, Games Workshop celebrate the occasion by releasing a new novel or a few new novels and models to do with one of the novels. You have to bear with me, my voice is a little bit husky because I'm not 100% and I've had some pretty upsetting news recently. But as I always say, the Emperor protects. So let's get onto this review. So these two models, they look absolutely beautiful. Better than I thought they would in person. I think the colour scheme really doesn't help the head of Valerian. His head actually does look, smaller in real life, which is great. Obviously not that small on the book, but still. I'm a big fan of Adeptus Custodes, got quite a large force backed up with loads of models from Forge World, and I do have, a few squads of Sisters of Silence, but Games Workshop and Forge World haven't really invested as much into them as they have Custodes. Anyway, if you're wondering what this book is, in the background, it's the new Watchers of the Throne book. It's the second book called The Regent's Shadow, and it's written by Chris Raitt. If you haven't read that one already, I strongly suggest you read this one first, which is, again, Watchers of the Throne, The Emperor's Legion, by Chris Raitt again. I've really enjoyed The Emperor's Legion. Chris Raitt is a lovely author. Some authors tend to fall down the rabbit hole of using extremely long words and over-describing things, but Chris Raitt is very easygoing and is masterful at setting up a scene and a backstory with characters, and none so more as with Valerian and Aleya. This video is a review of both of these models, but I thought it was appropriate for me to mention the novels in which without these models would cease to exist. And it just serves as an example of the excellent position Games Workshop are in by writing their own fiction and being able to produce actual miniatures, actual products with rules and a game system to support them. Such a fantastic position to be in, and it's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this hobby. So without further ado, let's have a look at the models themselves. Stop me blabbering on. So they come in this nice little cardboard box. There's no plastic insert in here, no plastic tray. Brilliant. Keep it cardboard, keep it recyclable. If we can produce these products with needless plastic packaging, then let's do that, guys. Come on, it's about time. So the back of the box is lovely. It gives you a short paint scheme in a way. It doesn't show you how to paint the Guardian Spear, but still you can go on Games Workshop's YouTube channel by all means, and possibly Duncan has put together a few painting videos of how to achieve those effects, and actually of the bronze armour for the Sisters of Silence. I recently just watched one of those videos. So this is great because it highlights some of the key areas of detail for you to look out for, and it advertises The Emperor's Legion, the first book, and then The Regent's Shadow, which is the book that's just come out. So good little box. You get an exhaustive instruction guide, many pages, way more than the recent Warcry ones, because they've got actual rules in there as well, which I strongly support. As you can see, lovely computer aided design, instruction guide there. It is a bit tricky. From my experience, I'd say that the laurels are the most trickiest part on Valerian. You may need tweezers to kind of put them in place, and they don't slot in as you'd expect. There's a little bit of jiggery pokery that needs to go along, and likewise with Aleya, you may have some difficulties joining up the sword with her fingers to get them aligned without making a bodge of the glue. As little glue as possible there, but not so little as that you can see the joins. You don't want a gap in there either. So yeah, a bit tricky, those two parts. And the sword, there is a slight divot for you to place the point of the sword in if you wanted to just add a tiny little bit of glue, but yeah, it's up to you if you want to do that, but that's what I've done. Anyway, you've also got the rules in here, which I will go through later on in a video after I've looked at the models and their detail and of course included a load of size comparisons with my exhaustive Warhammer 40,000 collection. I'm pretty close to buying a second home to put all of my Warhammer in, so hopefully at some point I'll be able to do a tour around this new property with all of its display cabinets. Of course, I'm joking. But yeah, it's great that you get the rules, and they're 10 power points for both of them combined. We'll go through those a little bit. Okay, let's have a look at Valerian then. This is the Custodes. Fair bit of detail on this guy. The head isn't as big as I thought it was going to be. I can see that the helmet would fit on him now. He's got his hand on the hilt of that Misericordia. I mean, detail-wise, compared to a normal Custodes, there's not much going on. You've still got these leather armour straps there dangling from the groin. I never thought I'd say that in a model review. You've got the shoulder pauldrons, which are a little bit different in that he's really pimping it out in that he's got 2 right shoulder pauldrons. You'll know what I mean if you collect Custodes. Typically, Custodes have a less detailed left shoulder pauldron, or right, whichever way you want to do that, but usually that one you can put the colour of the force that he belongs to, but Valerian has 2 double eagle shoulder pauldrons. The Guardian Spear itself, compared to typical Guardian Spears, is no different. Looking at it compared to a normal shield captain, it's exactly the same. I see no difference, even with the eagle on there, with the little rune icon, with the grip and the patterns and things on there. Maybe the only difference is that the spike here at the top is slightly shorter and smaller, but that's the only difference, that's the only discernible difference I can make out. So it's a bit lackluster. I would have preferred some more intricate filigree, or the name of it somewhere, or just something that sets it apart from a normal Guardian Spear that you can just, I say, pick up off the ground. You know what I mean. That's very likely not going to happen. The reverse of the model, like the other Custodes, has this double eagle reverse gorget or neck guard. The power plant, all of those areas are the same, and the tassets are similar to your other Custodes, albeit with actually a little bit less detail, a little bit less going on, which is fine. The big difference for him though is, well, he's not wearing a helmet, so he's got this quite iconic helmetless head there with a long scar on his right side going from his forehead down to his cheek, and also he's got this kind of golden laurels, which looks a lot like the laurels that Guilliman has. They're actually given to him by Guilliman, so I just wanted to put that out. And then the base itself, it's a 40mm base, but it has this intricate artwork on the bottom. A couple of cracks are showing, but yeah, lovely, I want to say marble or stonework for the base, and really sets it apart and gives you the feeling that they're both in the same kind of built-up area. So that's an in-depth look at the detail of Valerian. Let's have a look at Aleya. So Aleya, very similar to the other Sisters of Silence models. Again, the base draws your attention that she is in like a built-up area, looks like stonework or so. You've got some detail on the sword there. You can just make out with the lighting the name of the sword, Somnus. And she's got a little double eagle on the top of her chest there, with this kind of body glove armor plate that they have. She's got a shorter loin guard or loin cloth, I want to call it, in the middle there than typical Sisters of Silence. And the blade itself is a little bit longer and thinner than your usual Sisters of Silence blades. It's very thin here. I'm actually a bit worried for it, how it just tapers right near the hilt. But that must mean that there's more weight towards the tip, or, well, hey, we're talking about space magic here, anything could happen, but maybe it is weaker at the thinnest point, maybe it's a different alloy, who knows. But similarly to Valerian, she has two identical shoulder pauldrons. They're both exactly the same with this, I think single-headed eagle on there. And she's got the typical Sisters of Silence top knot with this guard over her mouth, because if you know about Sisters of Silence, they don't talk at all, hence Sisters of Silence. They communicate with all the hand signals and things. Must be pretty difficult to coordinate forces unless they just use like clicks or something like that. I don't know, but I can't remember from the novels I have read how they would communicate forces. But yeah, she's got one of these guards, because if you know anything about Sisters of Silence, they don't communicate with, you know, with talking. Then there's looks like a single-headed eagle on the back of her cloak there. Valerian doesn't have a cloak, which maybe he's not as pompous as the rest, I guess. You know, there's plenty of shield captains and other custodies that have long billowing cloaks, but he doesn't. The shoulder pauldrons are a bit tricky to get right. You can't, get them, you know, straight vertical. They are on a bit of a angle, which, yeah, I suppose when you paint the model, it's not going to show too much, not going to draw too much attention, but it's just worth noting that as well. And like I say, the difficulty bits with joining the hilt of the sword to the fingers, to the hands of Aleya. Okay, so there you go. That's my in-depth look at both of those models. Let's do some size comparisons, first of all, with other custodies. Now, like I said before, with Valerian, we'll do Valerian first, move Aleya out of the way. There's not a huge amount of details that set him aside from a normal shield captain. You put him in a squad of them, of 3 or 4 or 5 or whoever, and he's the only ascertainable differences are the laurels, the fact he's not wearing a helmet, and the base. They're the only differences. This is a normal kind of shield captain, I want to say. Well, he's just a normal guard, but as you can see, this guy has got a flowing cape, he's got the plume, he's got the helmet, his guardian spear is exactly the same. He doesn't have a misericordia. I don't know why I didn't glue a misericordia on him, but interesting. So yeah, compared to him, he is a little bit taller, but that's only because he is on that slightly raised base. Typically, he's exactly the same height as your normal custodies, which I think that's what you want to find out. First of all, now Games Workshop don't really do a separate shield captain, which is why Valerian is so important, in my opinion. Forge World do, and it's this shield captain here. He's very blinged up. He's got a different guardian spear with a drum magazine. He's on a bit of a rock, but this guy will set you back £32, which is quite a lot when you think about it. He is a resin miniature. He has more detail than Valerian, but only just. And one of the reasons is because of this big billowing cloak on the back, but there's not much in it at all. Again, this captain doesn't have a helmet either. But that's like a comparison, you know, shield captain to shield captain. There are other models you could use as shield captains, such as Trajan Valoris, right here. But again, he is £22.50 just for his own, just for himself. And let's face it, Valerian and Aleya are £30 for both the models. Then you've got another like event exclusive shield captain with this axe without a helmet, and he's holding the helmet. This guy is absolutely lovely, but I think he was £40 or £45. He's very expensive from Forge World, very expensive. And then finally, yeah, could you proxy Valdor? Maybe not. He has an awful lot of bling going on, but he's the closest you'll get to a Primarch without being a Primarch. Absolutely fantastic model, really love it. I need to get on and paint it, definitely. But still, there's your kind of custodies grouping with them all around Valerian. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that little custodies gathering. But yeah, for size comparisons as well, I might as well just put a Contemptor Dreadnought in too. So he is going to look very at home with the rest of your Custodes army if you've got these models. Okay, on to Aleya. Now I do have a normal Sisters of Silence, just for a little comparison. Again, pretty much exactly the same height. You can see the differences with the sword there. Sword is a bit thicker on the normal sister. The loincloth area is a bit longer. Shoulder pauldron on the right shoulder pauldron is actually larger. She's got a billowing cloak of fur, it looks like, whereas Aleya's just got a just normal dropped material. So again, she's going to look quite at home amongst these, but possibly won't stand out as much as you'd think. Likewise with Valerian. She has got less things to make her stand out compared to Valerian, in my opinion, because Valerian does have those laurels. He does have those laurels, at least, and in my army at least, most of my Custodes have helmets. Anyway, comparing her to Janisha Kroll, which is an absolutely beautiful model from Forge World, I think £30 or so. Yeah, I mean, this is a Sisters of Silence taken to the complete next level. Look at that sword. The sword is a bit longer, but it does have those hand guards on there, and there's way more detail in the resin pieces and on the cloak and the ribbons, and her hair is more free flowing and bigger. I mean, and she's got that little pistol too. Of course, they're in completely different eras. Janisha Kroll is Horus Heresy, a bit like Valdor's Horus Heresy, and Valerian and Aleya are Warhammer 40,000. But still, I thought I'd show you both of the models next to their epic Horus Heresy counterparts. And finally, a couple more size comparisons with just some Sisters of Battle models. So I've got a Canoness here, and then I've got Viridian. Sisters of Silence, she is taller than them both, but that's because of that scenic base. And yeah, she does stand a bit taller than the normal Sisters of Silence because of that scenic base too. But if you really want a lady to lead them, Janisha Kroll is the one. Final size comparisons just with some Space Marines. So you've got a normal Space Marine next to Valerian. Of course, comes up to the chest plate, and the Primaris is almost as tall as the Custodes there. And then Aleya with that scenic base. Let's just say they've both got scenic bases. The Space Marine is a little bit shorter, probably because of the pose. But then if we look at the Primaris is similar height, a little bit taller, just a little bit. Anyway, there you go. That's all the size comparisons I wanted to make. Quite exhaustive, but I have such a huge collection now that I feel it's necessary to include all of these models and compare them not only in size and height, but also in detail and what they bring to your force when you look out on the battlefield. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of their rules. Found in the little booklet, so keep that in a safe place. No doubt that I would think that their rules may well appear in the Talons of the Emperor book from the Psychic Awakening, which I'll definitely be picking up if it's got anything to do with Custodes in. Both of them are a power points cost of a 10. They're a match play points cost of 188 combined, including all their war gear, and they are an HQ choice. Valerian's movement speed is 6 inches, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 2+. That is exactly the same stat line as a normal shield captain. Aleya, her movement speed is 7 inches, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 3+. I haven't really got anything to compare her stat line to because I've got the Horus Heresy rules for Janisha in the Forge World book, which are obviously 7th edition. I didn't get the October White Dwarf where the normal Sisters of Silence codex is in, or index, whatever you want to call it. So I can't really compare whether her stat line is the same as a normal Sister of Silence. No doubt when the Talons of the Emperor Psychic Awakening book comes out, we'll be able to compare her a little bit more in depth. So this unit contains 1 Valerian and 1 Aleya. Valerian is equipped with Gnosis, and Misericordia. Aleya is equipped with Somnus Blade, Psych Out Grenades. You can only include one of this unit in your army. Well, of course. So, Valerian, he's got the weapon called Gnosis, which starts with a G, a bit like Gnome. It's got a shooting attack, which is range 24 inches, rapid fire 1, strength 4, AP -1, and a damage of 2. That is exactly the same stat line as a normal Guardian Spear. No difference there. The melee, however, it's a strength +2, AP -3, and a damage of D3. The only difference there is it's strength +2 instead of a normal Guardian Spear, which is strength +1. So he's got strength 7 on him. Games Workshop really did hype Valerian in their recent article on the community website by saying that his stat line makes enemies weep. It only makes them weep as much as a normal shield captain because it's exactly the same. Aleya is equipped with this Somnus Blade, which is a melee weapon, and it's a strength +1, so that's strength 4, AP -3, and a damage of D3. That's alright. He's also got a Misericordia, which is a strength of the user, which is 5, AP -2, damage 1, and when the bearer fights, it makes 1 additional attack with his weapon. So you could split your attacks there if you wish, if you didn't want to use Gnosis, so you get an extra attack. So it's nice that you get an additional attack with that Misericordia. And she's also got Psych Out Grenades, which is a 6-inch range weapon, grenade D3, strength 2, AP 0, damage 1. When resolving an attack made with this weapon against a Psychic or Demon unit, a hit roll of 6+ inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target and the attack sequence ends. So she hasn't really got any ranged weapons like Gnosis, but the Psych Out Grenades are very short range of the 6 inches. Abilities, Talons of the Emperor. During deployment, every model in this unit must be set up at the same time, though they do not need to be set up in unit coherency. From that point onwards, each model is treated as a separate unit. Abilities for Valerian. Aegis of the Emperor. This model has a 5+ invulnerable save. In addition, when this model would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound in the psychic phase, roll 1d6. On a 6+, that wound is not lost. That's standard. Inspirational Fighter. Reroll hit rolls of 1 made for attacks made by models in friendly Adeptus Custodes units whilst their unit is within 6 inches of this model. Again, that's nothing new. The only slight difference is the wording with the Inspirational Fighter. And he's got this unique ability called Golden Laurels. Once per battle, when resolving an attack made with Gnosis by this model, you can reroll either the hit roll, the wound roll, or the damage roll. So that's alright, but it's only once per battle. I would have rather had it once per turn. That would be really cool. Maybe a bit OP, but... Abilities. Aleya, Witch Hunter. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by this model against a psychic unit, you can reroll the wound roll. That's quite nice. And then Psychic Abomination. This model cannot be targeted or affected by psychic powers. In addition, when a psychic or deny the witch test is taken for an enemy model, subtract 1 from the total for each unit from your army with this ability that is within 18 inches of that enemy model to a maximum of -4. That's alright. Keywords, Imperium. Keywords for Valerian is Adeptus Custodes, Character, Infantry, Shield Captain, and Valeria. Keywords for Aleya, Astra Telepathica, Sisters of Silence, Character, Infantry, and Aleya. So there you go. So that's my entire review. A bit of a lengthy review, but in a way I'm reviewing 2 models in one. And I usually like to review each of these models individually. And I did say I'd probably do that in the unboxing, but I just thought that they're so special and they are a unique fighting force and they're their own unit entry. It would be better to do a combined review. They're nice as name characters and they look quite good, but I just don't think that they have that much to stand them apart from the other elite fighting forces. It's hard to build on the elite of the elite of the elite. You've already got Astra Militarum, then you've got the elite Space Marines, then you've got the elite Custodes, and then you've got the elite Shield Captains with named characters. It's highly specialised, and I understand that we're right at the top of the tree when it comes to quality of military units. One thing I will say is that the Shield Captain normally is a power points cost of a 7, so for 3 power points cost more, you are getting Aleya. And although she's a weak strength of a strength 4 in combat, she does have 4 attacks, but she doesn't have an invulnerable save, which is the only thing that's affecting her big time. She does have a 3+ save as well, but with a toughness 3,
you're going to be able to strip some wounds off her. Of course, Aleya, you're best off focusing her onto psychers or demons, but Valerian can pretty much handle himself in combat in any situation, especially with that strength 7. So in summary, they are nice models in combat. They do what they say on the tin, but with no incredible differences, which is what I kind of thought anyway. For me, I'm just happy that Games Workshop have produced these characters from novels, and I hope that they do more of this in the future. I'm so pleased that they even did Eisenhorn, and I look forward to the other models they've got coming out in the future. I really hope that there's an Emperor model. I really do. Anyway, I want to find out what you guys think of these models. Please do put it in the comments below as always. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.